guys, Canon with Teague Tractor. Today we're going to go over the Revolt SD and the standard option Revolt from Bad Boy Mowers. Let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start on the Revolt SC. As we get into this video, we're going to start on the deck and the frame here and compare the two, and then I will overlay specs on all of what we talk about today so you can get a little bit more in-depth with it. So starting out, the deck and frame on the Revolt SD, the deck options are going to come in a 34-inch or a 42-inch deck. The deck depth is going to be 4.5 inches, and it's going to be a straight front, okay? On the deck itself, it's going to be a 7-gauge steel with a 3/8-inch leading edge to help with wear and tear. On the frame itself, you're a 1.5-inch by 2-inch steel frame. It is fully welded and connected to the rest of the frame. Overall weight on the Revolt SD, they're going to be very, very similar, 34-inch versus 42, but the 42 is going to be 723 pounds. All right, so now as we step over to the standard Revolt deck size options, so you're going to start in a 36-inch and go all the way up to a 61-inch. They do have a new model for 2025, which is the Revolt X, and that one will go all the way up to a 72-inch. We'll save the Revolt X for its own video because it's its own animal and its own beast. So 36 all the way to 61, same 7-gauge steel with a 3/8-inch leading front edge. However, this is going to be a slope nose, more the outlaw style deck design versus the standard straight edge. It's also going to be a 5.5-inch cutting depth, so it's a little bit more airflow, a little bit better vacuum on that. Your frame is going to be a 1.5 by 3-inch steel welded tube, and it's also on the standard Revolt going to have this removable and replaceable front end. So if you tear this up, the Revolt being the more durable of the two, it's meant for more heavy use or commercial use. So if you do tear this front end up, it's going to be a lot easier to replace this front and keep this thing out mowing over the course of owning the machine. Overall weight, you're going to be at the 61-inch deck. It's going to be right over 1,000 pounds. I guess 1,040. Again, I'll overlay the specs. And then as you go down, I think the 36 inches is right at 800 pounds. So anywhere from 800 to 1,000. So it is a little bit heavier duty machine. All right, so starting with tire size, getting into that after we talked about the deck and the frame, so staying down here on the frame, we've got tire size on the Revolt SD. It's going to be a 13 by 6.5. As we get into the standard Revolt, it's going to start at the 36. It's going to be the same as the SD at 13 by 6.5. As we go up in size, as we get up to the 61-inch, you're going to get all the way up to a 23 by 11. Both are going to come with Bad Boys standard on across all their models in 2025. You're going to have the standard Reaper tread. It's not really a turf, not really an ag. It's not super aggressive. It's kind of the best of both. Most of our customers really love the Reaper pattern, and so do we. So that's what we're coming setup-wise on tires. All right, so starting out with engines, that's the next thing we'll talk about on both. On the Revolt SD, it's going to be a Kawasaki FS6000V. So that is going to be an 18.5 horsepower engine. The FS series is what Kawasaki would consider their mid-grade or mid-duty series. So not quite a residential engine, not quite a commercial grade engine, kind of just a blend of best of both there. So for those mid-grade jobs, this is going to be exactly what you need. Fuel capacity, you are 5 gallons on this guy. All right, on the regular Revolt or the standard duty Revolt, it's going to be an FX series classification on the Kawasaki engine. So from the 36-inch standard Revolt all the way to the 61, it is going to be an FX class. And what that is FX is going to be Kawasaki's premium commercial duty or commercial grade engine. So they're using very premium parts. They're all heavily inspected and tested before they leave the factory and SAE certified. You can dig into those certifications later. Basically, they're just way more tested. They're meant to run hotter and longer. So the FX series, most would consider not just for Kawasaki, but also other brands to be very premium. In our engine horsepower option, so for the 36-inch deck option, the smaller one, it's going to start at a 22.5 horsepower. And then as you get up to the 61, you're going to get some 27 horsepower carbureted options, as well as a 31 horsepower EFI option from Kawasaki. Again, I will overlay all of the different engine options and specs and the horsepower. On the fuel capacity, The 36-inch standard Revolt is going to be just like the SD. It's going to be a 5-gallon fuel capacity. And then when you get into the 48 and above, it's going to jump up to an 8-gallon fuel capacity. All right, so now talking transmissions. On the Revolt SD, it's going to be a Hydra Gear ZT2800 integrated drive. Okay, so it's going to have a 10cc pump with a 16cc motor. It's what they call a prosumer rated transmission. So again, for that mid-grade duty, again, ZT Hydra Gear 2800 series. All right, so on the standard Revolt, starting at the 36, it's the only one that's going to be different from the rest of the deck sizes. You're going to be a Hydra Gear ZT3100. It's going to have 10cc pumps with a 16cc motor, and again, 3100 on that. When we jump up into the 48 and above, it's going to go to the Hydra Gear ZT3400. So it's going to have 12cc pumps with 16cc motors, and it's going to have a lot thicker shaft on this drive system. So it's built a little bit heavier duty than the comparable SD. All right, so now talking everything, feature-wise on these machines that's not the transmission engines and the frame. Starting at our console, it's going to be an identical setup in terms of where things are located. So on your choke or your carbureted models, it's going to be over here, which would be your left-hand side as you're standing on the machine. You're also going to have your throttle in the same position. So it's going to be on your left-hand side. You've got your PTO right here in the middle, same on both. You've got your ignition switch, and this is your parking brake. Again, the same on both. In terms of the controls themselves, you're going to have the same exact design on your handles. They are both going to be adjustable forward and backward in order to get this in the right position for you as the end user. Okay, they're both going to excuse me, not both, but your SD is going to have a see-through sight gauge for your fuel versus on your standard Revolt, your sight gauge for your fuel is out here on the exterior next to your cap. Okay, and then as we move around to the rear, and again, we'll B-roll footage everything, you're going to have identical lifting doors to get to all your batteries, your fuel tanks, your hydraulic reservoirs, etc. So it's the same on both. You got access to your battery, your reservoirs, your fuel tank, your hydro release, all the electronics underneath, etc. Platforms on the standard Revolt, you're going to have a much stiffer platform. So if you are a bigger guy, you may consider looking at the standard Revolt just on that alone. Your SD model, the plate is going to be a little spongier. I don't think it's anything to be concerned with unless you're in that percentile of human that's significantly larger. That's the nicest way I can put it. You may go to the standard Revolt. So feature-wise, there's really no difference. You're going to have cup holders, one on your right-hand side. You've also got your deck adjustments that are going to be on the left, so it's on the left on both. In terms of cut height, that is where we're going to be a little bit different. So on your standard Revolt, it's going to be a 2 up to a 5 with 1/4 inch increments. And then on your SD, it's going to be a 1.5 to a 4.5 with 1/4 inch increments. Both are going to use Bad Boys deck lock system. So once you have set your height, you'll use this release. You'll pull back, pull the lever up, and set it down to your height. And then when you're ready to lock the deck up, you simply pull back to lock your deck up to full height. All right, so price point wise, Revolt SD. So starting at the 34-inch deck, you're going to be $56.99. If you go to the 42-inch deck, you're going to be $57.99. Again, those are cash prices. If you finance, the pricing structure changes just a little bit. On the standard Revolt, you're going to start at the 36-inch model. You're going to start at $73.99, and as you go up in size all the way to the 61-inch, it's going to top out at $85.99. So pricing is going to vary depending on deck size as well as engine options. But yeah, that's your range, $73.99, $85.99. All right, so intended use for both of these models, and really after going through the specs, what separates the two and their intended purposes. So the Revolt SD, it's intended for those homeowners or commercial users, 5 acres and less. So 5 acres and less as a homeowner, this is going to be exactly what you need. If garage space is a concern, it's, a lot of people are wanting to move away from a sit-down machine, a standard zero turn, and go to a stand-up option. The overall machine is just a little bit smaller. So garage space, it works really, really well with. Or if you're a commercial guy, standards are really appealing because you get more on a trailer. more mowers you have on a trailer, the more efficient in yards that you can add to your schedule and get done. And what we're seeing is about 50% of our sales split between these two models come to the SD, and it's a lot of guys that are 5-6 yards a week they would normally push mow. They can pick up one of these, get through all the same gates, and maintain a lot higher level of efficiency than push mowing all of those yards. All right, so intended use on the standard Revolt. This is to compete directly in the commercial market standards with all of its competitors. And we've had great success here at our Belton, Missouri location with the Revolts. I think we sold close to 50 Revolt models across all different deck sizes, engine options last year. A lot of you that have priced out a commercial standard know that these come at a premium. You're getting commercial grade transmissions and engines. Really, the differentiating factor between all of these brands is how they're built. And I don't think, obviously, in our opinion, it's really hard to find something that's built as well as a bad boy at the price point that you're getting them. All right, guys, there you have it. All the specs down and dirty on the Revolt and the Revolt SD. If you have questions, please drop a comment, send us an email. All of our contact information will be in the description. We have 2 locations, Belton, Missouri, and in Ottawa. We're opening up March 1st. So if you're seeing this video after that, we have a location in Ottawa, Kansas. Here's our phone number. Drop us a line. Ask us about available selection on these current models between the deck sizes. We're happy to chat with you guys on what you're mowing and finding the right machine to fit that use. And if there's something that we don't have in stock, let us know. We will happily order that. Our reps are really good to work with. We'll simply just drop them a line and get whatever machine that you need coming. Like, comment, subscribe. We post content every week. Appreciate it.